Good afternoon. I want to go ahead and welcome everyone to the Reaching ROCO's Bipartisan Community Forum. Before we go ahead and get started, I must address a couple concerns. We want to make sure that you are aware of the two exits that are in your back right or left rear of the auditorium. We do have two accessible bathrooms on the right. Your right side is going to be the men's restrooms here, and the women's restrooms is on your left side here. Just a few things. We are broadcasting this live, so if you can go ahead and mute your phones. You should have received a paper that there is no flash photography. We have people that are going to be able to do that, so please refrain from doing so. Thank you. So Reaching ROCO is a youth and young adults publication here. We are the ones sponsoring this event. We want to make note that, or our mission statements, youth, young adults, and those that guide them today. It's very evident and clear the dire situations that we are in our community, and we have brought together our candidates that are seeking election for the upcoming candidacy to address those concerns sincerely. Right now, we're going to go ahead and allow our Central High School's color guard to present colors. I'm going to ask the front row to go ahead and stand and shift, and we will go ahead and watch the presentation of colors and the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, cut, present, colors. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Carry. Colors. Ready. Cut. Order. Colors. Ready. Cut. Carry. Ready. Base. Carry. Colors. Ready. Cut. Forward. March. Let's give our Essentials Color Guard a round of applause. March on colors. You may be seated. My name is RJ Aiken. I'm the founder of Reaching ROCO. Today, I will be the speaker for today, and I will be taking the task of moderating the timekeeper. We have gathered today a committee of bipartisan affiliations, and we're going to have them stand up and turn around. So Clerk of Court will be moderated by Yvette Guerrero. Give her a round of applause, please. District Judge will be moderated by Dylan Henson. The School Board of Education will be moderated. Actually, a slight caveat to the agenda. Addison has came down with a stomach bug, so will not be able to moderate that section. So we have Isaac Roberson is going to moderate that section, including the Rutherford County Sheriff. Thank you. The last one, Bryson Smith, will be moderating Rutherford County Commissioners. And we have Courtney Bohannon that's going to be moderating the District Attorney. Right now, we're going to go ahead and ask that the Clerk of Superior Court candidates to come to the stage, and I will allow that section to go underway. So we have Patsy Kirkland and Steve Owens. Give them a round of applause, please.
Is it on? It is. Okay. All right. Okay, so here you ready to start? We've got Patsy Kirkland and Steve Owens. So with our first question, we've got a 10-minute segment. You get 2 minutes to reply each. And then at the end, we'll have a couple other questions, and you'll get 1 minute each. Hopefully, we'll stay within our time frame, and you're going to time us. Okay. So this is to both of you. According to the North Carolina Judicial Branch website, 1 in 4 people will visit the clerk's office each year for various reasons, such as traffic citations, jury service, probate for the will of a loved one, or they've been a victim of a crime. What sets you apart from your opponent to be able to handle this type of client volume? You have 2 minutes each. You can answer first, Steve, if you like.
What we do is, when they come in the door, we assess what the person needs and go from there. It's because a lot of times they've made a decision to come to the courthouse for a specific reason. For that specific reason, a lot of times we have everybody come in for taxes. We send them to where they're supposed to go. We also have them for, some needs are for the DA's office. Some people are coming for estates, so we have to direct them. So we have to take care of each person and their needs, each one. A lot of things that we do that helps them. We have a lot of things on our website, nc.gov. Those items help them also.
And you ask the experience that we have that would be able to help the people that walk through the door to handle those things.
Yes, actually, what sets you apart from your opponent to handle this?
Okay. I have worked in all those positions. So I have the background knowledge to know the process of those things, whether it be estates, just every position that you named, I have worked in every one of those positions. So I feel like I would have the knowledge to be able to help them before they even get to that department if need be.
If you take a minute and give your experience, your past experiences in your careers as just as a whole. We can start with you, Patsy.
Okay. As far as the clerk's office and the court system, I have about 9 years in the court system total. I have worked in every position in the clerk's office, and I have worked in a DA's office for 1 year as a legal assistant. I was the chief assistant to the district attorney. So I learned how to deal with criminal matters in the district attorney's office as well as in the clerk's office. I've done everything from being a cashier to an assistant clerk in the estates department. So I have a pretty good knowledge of every aspect of the clerk's office.
I started in 1998 with the clerk's office, worked in the criminal field with them and worked in the courtrooms. Also, after that, for about 14 years, worked in the district attorney's office under Jeff Hunt as his legal assistant. After that, I was elected as your clerk of Superior Court. I've done everything from everything that comes in the door. You name it, we take care of it. Prior to that, I worked for a little over 20 years in the retail field as a training manager that trained the managers of all the different stores on how to help with customer complaints, take care of the customers, and to also let those take care of them with each and every need that they come up with. And that means if they have a problem, then I have to find out how to take care of that problem.
Okay, and then according to the judicial.gov website over the court system, it says there are 6 divisions of organizational structures within the clerk of court's office. So Steve, as the current clerk of court, if you are reelected, do you plan on making any organizational changes in your upcoming term?
Well, see, estates, that groups with special proceedings. So in other words, those type things is already grouped by statute. So in other words, those are the laws of North Carolina. Also, we have some certain things in bookkeeping. A lot of times, when I first came in, there was a lot of special training I thought I was going to get to do, but because of the audit situation, you could not have somebody with dual control. So bookkeeping, someone who works in bookkeeping can't have access on their computers to criminal matters. Also, the same thing with civil. There's something called VCAP, and what that is just the civil sessions. So in other words, each item that you have, it runs, and by statute, there's no way to separate those. And those are some of the items that you just asked about. When you get audited, they make sure that you don't intertwine those, because if someone has dual control and has that access, then they can access someone's legal records. They can say, for instance, if you had a brother or a loved one that you decided that ticket wasn't as bad as you thought it was, you could take that ticket, make it disappear, and make it look like it got paid for. So that's the reason why there's these audits that we have. And what you're asking is, it's set up all across the 100 counties, and that's the setup, and it works.
So, Patsy, if you're elected, what organizational changes, if any, will you be seeking to be made within the clerk's office?
Those 6 departments that you were talking about, like Steve said, we have 4 departments. So a couple of those are mingled in with our departments. We only have 4, but we still have all 6. They're just lumped together. Currently, the changes that I'm going to make as clerk is those 4 departments will have a supervisor in each department. Right now, we have 3 departments, 3 different departments that has 1 supervisor. It's impossible for 1 clerk to supervise 17 employees in 3 different departments. We've got to get back to having supervision in each department in the office. Another thing that needs to be done is campaign promises have not been fulfilled to cross-train employees. We've got to make sure that our employees are cross-trained from all the way up to the bottom. It's not fair to the public when they come in, they need to take care of an issue, and that clerk that knows how to do it is not there. We've got to get to cross-training these employees. If I become clerk, I'm going to learn all that I can possibly learn. I'm going to learn but I'm also going to share that knowledge. But there's not going to be one person that's going to know everything. From my job all the way down to a cashier, there's going to be a backup, and that knowledge is going to be shared. I don't believe that one clerk should be the only one to develop skills for success. I want my assistants, that's going to be the assistant supervisors in those departments, to be just that. They're going to be my assistants, and there's not going to be any of those assistants that's over another. They're going to supervise their department, and if they have a problem, they'll come to me. But the people that's under them, I want them to grow. I don't want one person to stay stagnant and not be able to have the ability to promote when there's a promotion that comes available. I think everybody needs to have that ability to do that.
Okay, and then I've got one more question, and I've had to do some homework myself just to learn about this position. So looking at that website, it says that the clerk of court is responsible for receiving, investing, and distributing thousands or even millions of dollars from the court-related activities such as court fees and traffic citations, things like that. Can you explain, each of you, you've got 1 minute each, can you explain how, because it says that the clerk of court is responsible for this, is after the General Assembly has dispersed their portion, how does the clerk of court decide which state or local government agency receives that leftover portion? Do you understand the question? Okay. Do I need to make it clear? Okay.
Those funds that you're talking about, as of right now, we have a little over $1.7 million that are just for estates that for children, may have been like in a car wreck or something, or a family member died and left them money and they're underage. Those are their funds. Those funds can't be touched. The other funds that we take in, roughly somewhere between $7 to $8 million a year, those are distributed, and it's on, there's a code, and she used to do bookkeeping, so each one of those codes, it depends on how much is on those codes. At the end of each year will change. In other words, that code that is sent to Raleigh, after it's sent to Raleigh, AOC deciphers how much money out of the whole part that you got. For instance, like when we had COVID, a lot of people weren't coming into the courthouse and making payments. So a lot of the monies we had, I had the schools calling me, okay.
So we have a cost bill for every different type of transaction, whether it be civil or estates or special proceedings, whatever. Each one of those has a facility fee on there because that facility fee goes to help pay for our courthouse, for our facility. And then also if it's a criminal charge or there's been like a service fee, if it's a sheriff's office serving a summons or whatnot, that facility or that officer fee is going to go to the sheriff's office. And like he was talking about the trust, if a child has been in a car accident or there's been some type of a lawsuit and the money is being held in the clerk's office, it's being held in trust. And our bookkeeper invests that money. So that money is earning money until that child reaches the age of 18 or whatever age that they're allowed to get their money. So that's a huge thing.
Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming and opening up with us and letting us know. Thank you so much.
As the next section is about to come up, please forgive me, I had a mistake, an oversight. To assist and aid in the depolarization of politics and things with issues that are very real to Rutherford County, and knowing that those issues that we all face do not shift left or right, we have a group, the MDCC, multi-denominational coalition of clergy. We are going to ask any ordained minister or clergy members to be able to come up to the front and allowing us to do the prayer. As you were walking here, you should have received a sheet of paper with that prayer on there, and we'll go ahead and do that. Please forgive me on oversight. Can we ask the members of MDCC to lead us in prayer?
We just want to recognize and ask all clergy and ministers and pastors to stand, please. If you're a clergy, minister, or pastor, we ask you to stand. Let's give them a hand, please. God in heaven, we know, Lord, your kingdom is built on the solid foundation of love for all, yet we often fall short of that high calling.
We gather today, admitting our shortcomings and asking you to teach us to come together in the spirit of unity.
Teach us to build relationships. Teach us to understand it is your will that must be evident in our lives.
Teach us to care for our brothers and sisters and navigate the world in which we live.
As we move forward in your will, help us to embrace love, unity, and respect for all. We pray for everyone in our community, everyone in our state, everyone in our nation, the homeless, the sick, the addict, and the hopeless.
We pray that you would empower all of us to be light in this difficult, darkened world.
We pray now for our leaders and ask you to be with them as they serve our community. We ask you to endow them with love, care, empathy, and compassion as they serve. We are all grateful to be part of the world you are still creating, and
We pray your presence would fill our hearts, minds, and souls as we go forward.
Amen.
District Judge candidates, if you'll join me on stage. Okay. All right, the first question is for both of you. You'll have 2 minutes to answer. The first question I have for you, Ms. Shelley, is to cut down on time from crime to verdict, assuring the suspect's right to a speedy trial and the community's right to safety, how will you more efficiently handle cases?
To introduce myself, I'm Ellen Shelley, District Court Judge, District 29A. I've been on the bench since 2019. Efficiency is very important to me in my role. It's actually something that has been brought to light through the North Carolina Administrative Office of the Courts, through their program in 2018, and there's tons of information on court efficiency. What we intend to do, the district court judge has no control over a criminal docket. That docket is created for us. I can only handle the cases that are brought before me on that docket. But what I can do is ensure, and what I do each day is when that calendar call is done, so when all the names are called out, I make sure to determine who is present. Is there a victim present? Is the defendant present? If there's a victim present and the defendant is not present, we make certain to get that victim in and out of that courtroom as quickly as we can. But we need to cut down on continuances. Our general rule, and we are doing a very good job of it, we have a general rule in our district that's usually Each side is entitled to one continuance. However, you've got to have a general rule that cannot be done for each and every case. You have to look at each and every case separately. You have to look at each and every case individually. There are some circumstances that come up. If a defense attorney is in a superior court trial in another county, we have to consider that. So we cannot give just one blanket rule. You have to look at each and every case separately, and you have to treat and hold the state to the same burden that you treat and hold the defense. Each side should be held to the same standard that the other side is held to, and that is very important to me, and I make sure and I ask, if there's a continuance, I want to know why. And I want to know how many times has it been on, and I want to know how many times has it been continued for, and for which side. I also want to make sure that I know if it's a victim's rights case, whether or not the victim is currently there, and whether the victim has been there in the past, before I determine and use my discretion on whether continuance should be permitted or not. So I think, thank you.
Johnson, what is your answer to that question?
Mr. Morrow can answer. Is that okay? Okay. So I'm Anthony Morrow, and I am the opponent of Judge Shelley running for district court judge. I heard a lot of shoulds in that conversation. She's had 3 years to make some of these shoulds happen. I handed out a white talking paper about today. I knew this was going to be a topic. This is critical. Continuances affect every speaker up here today, the clerk, the DA, the sheriff, and the judges. The continuance is, this should have one rule continuance. It's not true. It simply is as many continuances as either side wants. And that's what happens. And that's how you result with cases that end up a year and a half from crime to punishment. There's no speedy trial in North Carolina, folks. So there's no regulation that the judge has to worry about following or the DA has to worry about following to ensure that criminals are brought to trial in a speedy manner. That's 120 days typically in federal law and most states, 120 days. That never happens here. So what I said, and the answer is here, at the very bottom right there, the solution is we need to have criminal court in both counties all day, every day. We need to have civil court in both counties all day, every day until this is caught up, this backlog is caught up. We have 4 judges on the bench now, right? We have 2 counties to cover. That's 2 here, 2 there, criminal, criminal, civil, civil. Keep it moving, folks. And what we can do is administrative court. Why are we having officers sitting in court 4 or 5 hours at a time for a case to be continued? It happens. It happens every day. What should happen is they should be sitting in administrative court 1 week a month like some other counties do. They handle all their administrative stuff. That means the defendant can come in, talk to the DA, and say, I'm gonna plead guilty, but I need another month to come up with some money. Can you just please push it out? They don't need to see a judge. It needs to be the DA and the defendant. Doesn't need to be just traffic. It can be DWIs. It can be a gamut of cases that they're not doing. But they are leaving the bench early every day. The DA doesn't set the continuances. The judge does. She's allowing it to happen.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, the next question is for you, and then I'll ask it to Ms. Shelley. Oh, Mr. Morrow, I'm so sorry. Yeah, let me. Whew, okay. With various options from harsher sentences to rehabilitation facilities, how will you fight the drug crisis in Rutherford County?
You cannot punish someone into recovery. You can't. There are drugs in that jail. We know it, or were. We've had overdoses. We've had deaths. So you're not stopping drugs when you go to jail. We need something in this county. I spoke to United Way. So when someone doesn't have a facility to go into, because there's a wait list for the real deal drug treatment centers, the year-long ones, the 2-year-long ones, they're the real deal. We don't have them around here. The wait list, there is no wait list. If they open a bed and they look at you and they say, you better be ready, you better be ready. We need a crisis center where someone that wants to go can get out of the hotel. They are paying for hotel rooms. So when you think of all the trouble with these hotels in the county, they are being paid for with tax dollars, with donations. That money should go to a crisis center in the county. I know the commissioners are working hard on bringing rehab here with money that we've got coming, but how easy would it be to set up a house with 10 beds in it? You send people that really want out of that bad environment, and you have checks and balances on them. That's what you do. You can't punish people, folks. So thoughts and prayers aren't going to make it happen. We need treatment, evidence-based treatment. Now, that means something to people that know what it means. Evidence-based treatment. Thank you, folks. So when we're talking about rehabilitation, people need options. We don't have drug court here. And I've been told by the person who counseled it when I ran 2 years ago, and I was on this stage, we had NAMI here, we had state representatives here, we had a running county commissioner, we had me, not a single other elected official here to deal with that exact problem. Get some resources here. They are available. They're in the state. Let's bring them to our county. Drug court is the biggest one. To say it didn't work here is to say we're going to shut down Chick-fil-A because they sell bad chicken in this county. Well, maybe it's not the chicken. Maybe it's who's running Chick-fil-A. It's who's running the courthouse that's producing a bad product.
Thank you. I guess he and I agree on one thing, is recovery options and recovery centers are crucial, and we need those in our district. But we have to maintain and focus on what my role is currently right now, and that's of a district court judge. And I have to handle with what I have before me today. So while we always constantly want to work toward getting more facilities, I have to be able to handle the cases before me at this very moment right now. I think one important role that we do that is we are handling those issues in juvenile court. I think we need to get to the root of our issues and get it early, and that's something we can do in juvenile court. As a district court judge, we sit and hear juvenile cases. We have the opportunity to get inside of these homes. We have the opportunity to get inside of these places and treat these families. It's not just this person's drug problem. There is generally or usually a root issue that we need to get to, and we have the opportunity in juvenile court and abuse, neglect, dependency court, and our civil courts to get inside of those homes, get those family services, and try to treat those problems early. So when these kids step into adulthood, we are not leaving them stepping out into adulthood with these mental health concerns and these substance misuse issues. Also, recovery court, that's a great idea. There's actually a budget for it. If you look at the budget that was approved last year, there's a pilot program, and there's a recovery court program. And actually, our current bench has been in talks with Burke County. They are working through some of their pilot recovery court programs. It's not just a drug court. It's a recovery court. It can deal with veterans and their specific needs. That recovery court can deal with families and folks that maybe have substance misuse issues or mental health issues. We can go through that process. Recovery court is something that we have to have. We have to have a full support from all of our actors. It has to be all. Time. Thank you.
Ms. Shelley, you're the first one to answer this question. What is your vision for Rutherford County, and what are some of your goals that you have that will quantify your success?
Right now, we were talking about numbers earlier, and it was mentioned that there is a backlog in Rutherford and McDowell counties in the district court system, and I can't speak to Superior Court. I'm a district court judge. I'm not a Superior Court judge. But we don't have a backlog in our county. Our civil cases, and if you look at it as a whole, we are handling from start to finish to beginning to disposing 114%. That means we are dealing with 14% of our cases of any sort of quote-unquote backlog that we have. So we are disposing of more that are coming in. So we are doing a good job, and I want to maintain that. It is certainly not something that I'm not going to say we don't need to look at, and we need to look at it every day. We need to always be cognizant of that process, and that's something that I intend to do to make sure that we are watching to make sure we don't create a backlog. I also think that the recovery process, the recovery court process is important, and we need to make sure that all of our actors are on board, and I want to meet with them to see if we can't get some partnerships to bring those partnerships into our courthouse. But we need everybody involved.
Time.
Thank you.
Can you restate the question again, please?
Oh, yeah. What is your vision for Rutherford County, and what are some of your goals you have that will quantify your success?
I'm going to disagree with my opponent. I looked at a docket just the other day, and they were dealing with cases that were over a year and a half old for a motion to modify custody. So let me tell you what that means, folks. That means that somebody is having a problem seeing their child, and the other parent and them end up in court, and a year and a half later, you still don't see your child. Why? Because your case is still pending. Now, these are dockets, folks, and if you want to know the truth about what you as the public should be doing is holding them accountable with my number one push. Have them put the dockets online after they are done with it. It's no good for the DA to tell you he's going to prosecute 125 cases on Tuesday and actually prosecutes 5 because you don't know how many were continued. You don't know how many were dismissed because somebody didn't show up or whatever happened. There needs to be some accountability and internal tracking, because every tracker that I've seen from AOC at the state level, they do not have a sophisticated enough system to say actual case or cases that are being closed. They'll say you closed this amount of cases this year and you had this many that were opened. Well, that doesn't tell you.
Thank you for your time. You've both been great. I apologize, Mr. Morrow and Judge Shelley. Thank you for coming. Y'all have a great evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'd like the candidates for the Board of Education to go ahead and take the stage. We have Paul Scott, who is actually running uncontested, so we will allow him to join this afternoon, but he will be giving a brief speech, and he will be allotted 1 minute until the open section at the end. But you guys can go ahead and take the stage.
My name is Paul Scott, and I am the pastor of Big Springs Baptist Church, and I am running for the Rutherford County Board of Education, District 2, that's the East High District. I was motivated to run because of the kids in our church. The church I serve, we have over 100 kids under the age of 18 spread across Cleveland and Rutherford counties. And in the last 2 years, I've seen what they've gone through, the effects of COVID upon their lives, not only academically, which has been tremendous, but also emotionally and spiritually. And I want to be a support and an advocate for our students. But I'm also here to be a support for our schools. We've got some great schools. We've got some outstanding folks in our schools. And in our church, we've got administrators, we've got teachers, we've got staff like nurses and lunchroom and custodians and bus drivers. And I have seen them bear the burden and the strain and the stress of keeping our kids in the classroom. And I want to be an encouragement, and I want to be an advocate and support for our schools and our employees as well. We have great schools, and I'm proud of them. And I love our Rutherford County school system, and that's why I'm running for the board.
Good evening. To get started off tonight, could you all go through and state your name and what district you're running for?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, my name is Ramona Smith, and I'm running for Central District, District 1.
Good evening. My name is Darren Joyner, and I am also running for District 1.
I am Jeremy Suits, and I'm running for District 3 Chase.
Good evening. My name is April Mays, and I'm running for the Chase District, and that is District 3 as well.
Good evening. My name is Brandy Nanny, and I'm running for District 1, that is the RS Central District.
Good evening. I'm Julie Fincher, and I'm running for the Chase District, District 3.
Suppose you're elected. What is the particular issue that motivates you to serve on the Board of Education?
So I'm running for school board for several reasons. We are 18 months to 2 years behind in the development of our students, emotionally, spiritually, scholastically. I want to see that get caught up and caught up fast. I want to put the emphasis on every single child being given what they need to succeed. We know if a child isn't reading at grade level by the third grade, that their chances of catching up are minimal. How can we change that? How can we be a community that rises up and shows that we care about all of our students? We want them educated. We want them here. We want them to go on to either be employed, trade school, or college, whatever they want to do, we want to see them succeed. I'm also a nurse practitioner, and I want to be sure that we manage their health and their mental health the best that we possibly can. Thank you.
You know, I've been working at Spindale Elementary now 16, maybe 17 years. Every day, I see what our kids go through. You know, when we're talking about behaviors, when we're talking about mental health. See, this was all going on before COVID hit. COVID just shedded a light on it. We've been having behavioral problems, learning problems, all of these different issues have been going on. COVID just exposed it more. One of the things I would like to see done if I was on the school board is I would like to see the K-5 Rutherford Developmental Center come into fruition. And what that is we have kids in our schools who are having issues, and their issues run deep. See, I've been those kids. See, when you want to talk about gun violence, that's been me, because my mom was shot when I was a kid. Okay? If you want to talk about being bullied, I was that kid, because I got beat up every day, because I was that kid. If you want to talk about racism, I was that kid, because when I lived in New York City, I got chased home being called a nigger. I was in the middle of a race riot, and this is what they were saying: Oreo, Oreo. Those ends gotta go. Hit them with the left, hit them with the right. Those GD ends don't know how to fight. 1, 2, 3, 4 ends gotta go. So I've been there. So when I see these kids and what they're going through, and when they're growing up without fathers, that's me. See, then it hurts me when they're going through those things. And when I see our kindergartners go, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're not talking about middle schoolers or high school. This stuff is It's my time? Oh, I'm sorry. We're talking about from preschool to K-5. That's where it starts, and that's where we have to start working on it. So the K-5 Rutherford Developmental Center is something that's been spinning around in my head for a while. And so and that center would be, we would have kids go there, but they won't stay there. The whole premise of that is to get them the help that they need. So what I want to see there, I want to see a psychologist that stays there, a couple of counselors that are there, a school nurse that stays there, family preservation that's there, a social service worker that stays there, classrooms that are 10 to 12 kids, not real, see, because if we don't hit it here, then we'll have to keep dealing with it on down the road. So let's get it while they're at this level right here. See, I'm not running for a title. I'm not running to get my name in the paper. I'm not running to build some big political.
So I'm running for my kids. I was the parent that was at home the last 2 years as my kids were out of school. My wife was working, and I've seen the struggles firsthand of what these kids have gone through. There's no reason for it. I'm also up here for the same reasons. I don't want a title. I'm not here for political reasons. I want the best for my kids. I want the best for every kid in this county. The teachers, I want to be your friend. I want you to be able to come to me with any problems you have and know that it's going to be an open line of communication. There's a lot in our district that they don't have the opportunities that a lot of other students have. So I want them to have those opportunities. There's so much in this. I mean, we don't even have parent-teacher conferences in this county. My oldest daughter is in 4th grade and has never once had a parent-teacher conference. Parent-teacher conferences we need those for our kids. The teachers need to know more about our kids, and we need to know more about our teachers.
So what motivates me to serve is that I am just a mother that cares about my child's education. The state is passing down agendas that does not fit the parents of this county. If you go and look, they're passing policies and laws that we don't want. And so I'm just here to advocate for my children. I'm a mother that wants the best for their education. I want them to learn the core fundamentals of reading, writing, math, history, science. I don't want anything else other than that, just that. I also want to be an advocate for parental rights. I want the parents to be involved in the kids' education. We all know that when a parent is involved, their success increases. And so I want to involve the parents in their education and also work for the parental rights. I grew up in this community. I graduated from Chase. I moved off and went to college, and I realized that is not where I want to be. I want to be here, small town friendly, because I know the people and I love this community and I want to serve this community. I also would like to help work with maybe bringing some of the CTEs, the career technical education, kind of like the trade and vocational stuff. McNair is an amazing program for our high schoolers if that's what they want to do as far as college bound, but we also have to realize that there are other kids that don't really want to go to college or can't financially go to college, and so we need to meet them in the middle.
Good evening. My name is Brandy Nanny. I am running again in the Central District. The reason why I decided to run back I'm running for re-election. The reason why I decided to run back in 2018 was for my kids and for my community. One of the quotes I like to think about during my term is, "We the people elect a leader not to rule but to serve," by Dwight Eisenhower. To me, a leader is not just a title or an appointment, it's a purpose. It is a capacity and will to rally people to a common purpose together with a character that inspires confidence and builds trust. Throughout my term as a District 1 representative, my rally has been building the community to stand up and be a voice for the students and the staff of Rutherford County schools. I have been able to establish trust and confidence with my constituents by listening and seeking feedback for important decisions. I will continue to guide my constituents with issues or questions that they have. I will continue to serve by following up with my constituents to ensure that their matter was addressed and handled. I will continue not to be complacent, but to seek for positive changes that will positively impact Rutherford County schools with the collaboration of my community.
Good evening. Again, my name is Julie Fincher, and the reason that I want to serve on the Board of Education is because I feel in my heart a true calling to serve the children and the students and staff and families of this entire community. Anyone who knows me knows my passion and how much care and effort I give every day to the students and teachers and families of Forest Hunt Elementary and Chase Middle through my roles as serving as PTO president at Forest Hunt and on the PTO at Chase Middle. And I feel that it is very important for families and the community to be involved in their child's education, for everyone to come together as partners throughout the community, for the students to know that they are loved and cared for, not just by their families and by the staff and teachers at their schools, but for them to also know that the community partners throughout their entire county care for them, are involved in their education and in their emotional health and support as well. I really I want to continue to see all students know that they are loved and cared for and that their educational needs are being met, whether it be that they do want to go straight into the workforce, or if they want to go to a 2-year or a technical school, or if they want to go on to a 4-year university or even higher education. I want them all to know how much they are loved and cared for, and I want all the staff and teachers to know that they are supported and that they are heard and everyone knows how much they care for these students and that they're going to be supported during this time. Thank you.
This question will have a 2-minute time limit, and I would like to start with you, Ms. Fisher. We have had many resignations and staff retirements in the county due to the pandemic. These departures have had a disproportionate effect on those from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, as well as those who require special education or Tier 3 support. How do you plan on retaining highly qualified teachers within the county?
I would think that that is going to not just come from our Board of Education, that's also going to come from your higher elected officials who allot the funds that can be available for those positions throughout the schools so that we can have more funds allotted to be able to have more staff and to have more funds allotted to allow for higher pay for those staff to come into the community. So then that way there will be more staff in each school, so there will be a more proportionate amount of care and instruction given to each of our students regardless of their level of abilities, whether it's AIG or exceptional children's needs. I do know that there are a lot of resignations and retirements, and that we are also struggling for substitute teachers in the community, and that is ongoing, that there are many efforts being made to reach out to more staff. They're looking into the local colleges, trying to get more teachers involved, and that would be a way that that could be done as well. Continuing to involve the community, all partnerships in the community, to show them the important role that teachers and the different roles in the school system can have would also help with that. Thank you.
Rutherford County Schools did receive, we received 3 allotments of COVID funding to help rebuild from the pandemic. That funding has been used to hire more teachers. It has been used for more resources for any COVID, for any facility needs that help throughout that as well. We have been very aggressive in trying to obtain the teachers to fill these positions. We of course could always use more. We started hiring a little earlier than other counties to try to beat other counties from getting our good teachers. So yeah, we've continued to be aggressive. For anybody who wants to be a substitute teacher, we would love to have you. Please contact the county office and sign up. These kids really need you. So yeah, ask your friends and family that you know to, if they would like to be a substitute teacher, and we'll be happy to set you up and get you what you need to do it. So yeah.
I feel like as a board member, we need to advocate, if elected as a board member, or just board members in general, need to advocate for our teachers, and we need to stand up for our teachers. Our teachers deserve the best pay possible. They are so underpaid. They teach our children how to read and write. We need to, as parents and as board members, even throughout the state of North Carolina, need to stand up for these teachers. I know that they just started yesterday in talks of new pay for the teachers. It's based off standardized testing and colleague reviews and even student reviews. And I don't feel like teachers should be based pay off standardized teaching or standardized testing, because not all 2 students are the same, and they might be amazing students in the classroom but just don't test well, and I just feel like we need to advocate for these teachers and for them to continue to stay, to be veteran teachers. Those teachers know the ins and outs of the school system and the education, and we need to increase their pay and fight for that, advocate for that, email the state, because that's ultimately where the decisions are made, is at the state level. And just rally around these teachers and just advocate for them.
So it starts with our students. You got to build school pride. If students have school pride, they come back and they want to stay in the district. And then you got to look at the teacher pay. You got to look at the budget and figure out where we can cut every little bit to increase the teacher salaries. The new legislation that's coming out is going to raise teacher pay by almost $10,000. Now, I don't agree with what they have to go through to meet those standards. I don't think it's right. The kids don't need to be based off of some standardized testing. Like the others have said, not every kid is the same. But we need to back these teachers up. We need to give them the resources that they need. As a community, we need to come together. We need to donate to the teachers. We need to come up with functions that are offsetting the cost in the schools to give that money back to the teachers.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's very simple. If you take care of your people will take care of you. If you want your kids taken care of, we need to take care of our teachers. And I agree, if you want the best teachers, then they need the best pay. You know, if you want to keep them coming here. Look, I'm in this every day, okay? I'm in this every day. And we just lost a couple of teachers. Teacher pay, we got to get the behaviors under control, because when you have students who are able to basically disrupt the class day in and day out, how can a teacher teach? And at some point, those teachers get tired. And what has to happen is they need administrators who are going to come in and say, we got your back. They need a school board that's going to come and say, we got your back. We're not kicking this. See, when I was bullied, you know what the thing was? That's what it is when you're growing up. That's just part of it. No, because nobody sends their kid to school to get picked on and beat up, right? So when they kids bring that to me, and if it's something I can't handle, then I have to take it to the principal. But they have to know that the principal is going to do something about it. So we need strong administrators. We need to make sure that our teachers are getting the best pay that they can get, right? When we're talking about subs. Spindale, I tell you what now, Spindale, we got subs coming in. Every day I look up, we get new subs coming in. I think Spindale has a great environment because we try to build a family environment. Everybody's looking out for everybody. You know, me and the assistant principal were just talking today. I'll tell you what, boy, them kids can really get you. They can work a nerve.
So my thought is, we have an amazing county and an amazing community. So how do we get people to come to Rutherford County? We have a new teacher at RS Central who came from New York. She volunteers with me at Rutherford Fire Department. She came here fresh out of school because she liked the way our community looked. We're on PBS with our bike pathway, our railroad, our rail path. We're getting out there as people. We want to be receiving these teachers into this community and support them. What do they need? Yes, they need pay, but they also need to have the behavioral management of the classroom. Why aren't we tapping into mental health dollars? Because I know they're out there. I've run budgets before, and I know we can tap into that. Get the teachers what they need to do the class with a disruptive student. Help them feel supported. We don't need to be teaching CRT and SEL and this and that. We need basic education, and we need these teachers to feel supported in any way that we can. What else else do they need? They need that personal paycheck. They need someone to say, you're doing a wonderful job. What about our faith-based community? Can they adopt a teacher? Can we have teachers in my church, Pleasant Hill. Can we do something to support them from the spiritual end? Can we support them with the mental health support? Can we support, is it housing? Maybe we can have a house where we can actually recruit teachers so they don't have to deal with the cost of living, of moving to a new community. Could we do that? I mean, we have to think outside the box and bring qualified teachers in, support the ones we have, train our kids up to be teachers. Get them through here, send them off a little bit and get a little taste of the world and have them come back and teach, just like others have come back when they've come back and become teachers here. That's what we need to do. We need to look at it from so many different angles.
We have one last question. There's going to be a minute time limit. It's going to start with you, Ms. Smith. Rutherford County has recently experienced a school shooting threat at East Rutherford High School, reigniting the community fears around safety in educational spaces. What steps are you willing to go above and beyond to ensure the safety of our classrooms?
Hard to go first. We need to partner with this whole community on prevention. This didn't just happen where somebody just thought of this and then it happened. Things lead up to this. We need to partner with law enforcement. We need to partner with the Department of Social Services. When we have kids that are heading this direction, we need to deal with this social media, because often if you back up on the social media, you see there's things coming down the line. We need to be looking at lots of different ways to know what's the pulse of our kids in this community. Why would they do something like that? Is it a dare that's going around the nation? We need to be aware of that. And I think it's all of us need to be responsible for that. We need to take the kids are troubled. This is a hard time to grow up. And we need to surround them and love them and be tough. Time, attention, and direction is what they want. Let's give them our time. Let's give them some attention for doing the things we want them to do, and let's direct them.
I totally agree with that. One of my jobs at Spender Elementary, outside of, I handle in-school suspension. And when I don't have kids, I spend a lot of time getting in front of situations. So I just don't sit in my room. I actually go from classroom to classroom, because I know the kids who are usually in trouble. But when they come to me and I'm sitting down with them, I try to help them understand that the choices that they are making, see, to me, this is their first job. And the choices that they make here, and the things that they do there, and how we interact with them there. So when I first got there, I was like the drill sergeant, because I was in the military. So I was like, chop, 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 chop. But the kindergartners broke a brother down. So I learned to be flexible, but what I try to instill in them is I think like she said, you got to take time to talk to them and pour into them. And I use.
So there's nothing we should hide. We need to, every time these kids are getting in trouble, it goes back to the parent-teacher conferences. We need to hold the parents accountable. They need to know what's going on with these kids. If the teachers aren't communicating, if the school's not communicating, then how are they supposed to correct it? We need correction between the teachers and the parents. It's got to be a joint effort. But yeah, I mean, we got to look at everything. The kids need to be safe when they're in school. Every safety measure we can put in place needs to be in there. Safety needs to be top priority.
Pertaining to the issue of the school shooting the threats of yesterday, we don't know what these kids what their home lives are like. They could come from broken homes. We just don't know. And the fact that these kids are getting shoved social media in their face with these apps and stuff. These kids they've got so much going on with them right now that it's hard to, to sit down with them and say, hey, what's going on? We need to partner with law enforcement. We also need to hold these kids and these parents accountable. When these parents and these kids realize that there are going to be consequences for sending a threat to the school and possibly putting harm in way of other kids, there has to be consequences to that. And we have got to hold them accountable. We also need strong principals and administrators to follow the rules and the policies that have been set by the school.
First and foremost, I want to thank our law enforcement and everybody that was involved in getting that taken care of as quickly as they did to put a stop to it. This isn't something we play with. We take it. Okay. This isn't something Rutherford County Schools plays with. We take it very seriously. And we also need to let our children know that this is a very serious matter. It's not something we take lightly. We need to rally around these kids and see if this is a cry for help, because if it is, they've been through a lot in the past 2 years. And we need to be there for them, and we need to support them. And yep. You're fine.
I feel that we really need to continue our wonderful partnerships that we have with the Sheriff's Department. We have the school resource officers in the schools, and we need to continue those relationships with those school resource officers in the schools. Again, getting families involved, having families understand how important it is to be involved in their child's education, talking to them about their day, and really asking them questions about how their day was, and if there are any concerns that they have, talking with them and encouraging the children and students to talk. Listening to your teachers and staff about any concerns that they have in the schools, and encouraging our children to talk about to the teachers and staff or their families any concerns that they have for inside the schools, for those to help them with any of the school safety issues. Thank you.
Thank you, the School Board of Education. We'll go ahead and conclude that section. We're going to go ahead and ask. We're going to go ahead and ask that the candidates for the county commissioners to go ahead and take the stand. Take the stand. I meant take the stage. Either way. Also going to be one big presentation before, and then you can start, okay? Or when you have a quick presentation before that. break up the section with a special presentation. Reaching ROCO, again, sponsors and supports nonprofits and youth organizations. Again, Reaching ROCO, we are a team of creatives, journalists, and those that aspire to make change in the community. One of the youth organizations that we support in the community is a robotics team called Megabytes. We talk about the workforce shortage and the barriers that our youth are facing each and every single day. Megabytes, and with their partnerships with Meta, which was formerly known as Facebook, and other businesses locally, they are able to be a part of the solution to create a pipeline of STEAM opportunities from pre-K all the way up to the workforce. It's really amazing to see what these guys do. So we're just gonna show this small video of what they're about, okay?
From a small converted kitchen in 2015 with 7 students, 2 mentors, and with the mentality that the kit of parts was all we needed to be a competitive team, a movement was born. Our Megabytes FRC team 5727. Since then, we've expanded to a team of over 40 students and 20 mentors. We've been able to acquire financial support through grants, donations, and the community partnerships that have allowed us to galvanize our community. With these investments, we are able to push past perceived barriers and break down the walls in order to form a most unified team. Diverse in more than just skin colors and gender. A team with substantial ideas that doesn't leave footprints behind, but stands beside the people we impact. We found diversity to be our catalyst for hope. Being a team with over 50% female members, just under 50% people of color, and several LGBTQ+ members, we continue to provide a distinctly consistent environment of stability, even through a global pandemic. When COVID shut us down for most of 2020, and with over 34% of youth in our county living below the poverty line, we emerge with our new initiative and focus, being Steamrollin'. This takes STEM activities to K-12 children in their neighborhoods. With this new program, we have implemented FLL Discover into all 10 elementary schools within Rutherford County, and we are helping the students see the world through a fun and engaging lens. We are not just working towards the future, but also for the here and now, spreading a sense of belonging and security to others, gaining trust, and showing interest to those who need it the most. We are a family that everyone can find themselves a part of.
I would like to bring up a few of the team members of the Megabytes. It's been an honor to mentor some of them. What really inspired me and what really captivated is that this group of young adults, I call them young adults, they pretty much are doing things that are beyond me. But essentially, they're doing things that full college degree people that are involved in the workforce are capable of doing. So essentially, throughout COVID, when there were so many barriers being faced with our youth, this team at Megabytes was able to prevail and actually have some success on a state and on a state level. So I would like to give them the platform to share what they're about and also what they're looking to obtain. Okay.
Thank you.
Give them a round of applause.
Hello, my name is Casey Smith, and I'm a senior, and I am currently one of the 2 co-captains of the Reach of Megabytes.
My name's Emeka Energy, and I'm in the operations department, and I'm a sophomore.
As you can see from our video, we are creating these exceptional pieces of technology, but everything that we are doing here is not just us building robots, but we are going out into our community and we're being more than just a competition team. We are doing this by going into the community through our Steamrollin' initiative, like you've seen here. We are going into the communities to meet these kids where they are. We're not expecting them to come to us. And more than just showing them a fun-looking robot and getting them excited for a day, just for us to check off a box, say we went, and move on. But we are going to create lasting relationships and show these students that we care about their futures, and that when we say there is hope for their futures, they are going to believe us because we have that relationship with them. Also on our, I know I just did a bombshell there. On our robot side, in our last competition, we are currently ranked 4th in the state. This ranking is not just 20 teams, but 66. And these teams are from areas like Durham and Raleigh and are out of places like Caterpillar and places like NASA. They are getting this funding, and we are from Small Town Friendly, and we are not just competing with them, but we are beating them.
We aren't just a high school robotics team, but a family focused on revitalizing our community. With over 50% of our funding going towards our steamrolling initiative, we're shining a light on all the STEM-related careers and opportunities right here in our county. People shouldn't have to leave and go off to bigger cities and different states to achieve these kind of goals. We want to show them that right here in our county, there are those opportunities and there are those places that they can go. We aren't just building robots, we are building lives.
Thank you. Thank you, Megabytes, Emeka, and Casey. They are really going to solve the world's issues, and I have faith in that. They have pamphlets that you can get to show where you can donate if you would like to continue to their. Yep, guy right there. Can you hold it up again? So they have pamphlets to show how you can support them. And again, what's mesmerizing is that there are teams out there that have support from NASA, and they're actually competing with them and actually winning. So can we give them one more round of applause?
Good evening. Thank all of you for coming, but thank you for being willing to put yourself out there on the line to serve the county. We will start if each one of you would please state your name and the district you're running for.
Michael Benfield. I'm running for re-election in District 4.
Jason Toney, District 4.
Alan Toney, and I'm running for re-election in District 5.
I'm Brian King. I'm running for District 1, and I really hope I win.
The first question will have a 1-minute time. So, Mr. Benfield, we'll go with you to start with. If elected or re-elected, what is your #1 priority?
To continue to reach out to each one of the departments. We've got 28 departments in the county, to reach out and meet their needs. We constantly have budget restrictions put onto us by unfunded mandates out of Raleigh, and we just continue to work with those, and we try to work with the legislatures. I serve on the NCACC, which is North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, and we take ideas before the State House and the Senate, and we take ideas that can help each county, all 100 counties.
I'm going to keep it plain and simple. Citizens of our county. No more to be said about that. Our citizens has to come first. First and foremost, we've got to make sure that our citizens are well cared for. We've got to have law enforcement in place. And there's a lot of topics we're going to hopefully get to cover tonight as far as the budget, the spending of the budget. Some people may say that on our budget we've got wasteful spending. So hopefully we can go through this and touch bases on hopefully finding some money.
You asked what the #1 priority is? the number one priority is for Rutherford County to be the best county in the state. And that should be all of our priority, even in this room, is our county's the best. And we live in a great county. We live in a beautiful part of the state. Why wouldn't you want this county to be the best one in the state? We have a lot of good people. I see you here tonight. You have people running for these different offices. You're passionate about what you're doing. And I'm passionate about what I'm doing as a county commissioner. And I've seen our county move forward the last 8 years that I've been in office, or actually 7 years and some change. I'm in my 8th year this year. And we've seen a lot of good things happening and taking place. And I want to continue to see those great things happening and taking place, working with our legislators on the state level, working with our legislators on the federal level, working with our local folks, whether it's the Sheriff's Department, EMS, all the departments of the county, the nonprofits. You know, I want us all to work together collectively and make this the best county in the state.
Gosh, I have so many priorities. I don't know if I can name just one. But I do want to say a priority that's been a member for this board that I've been serving on is the opioid situation. You know, we were one of the first counties to file a lawsuit against the companies regarding opioids, and we had a discussion tonight about treatments. Well, we did that 3 years ago. We kept on going closed session. Well, that was to discuss that. And these monies that are coming to our county is not to backfill our budget, but it's to treat and prevent going forward. $6 million. I think the Daily Query is going to have an article in tomorrow because they reached out to us, and that's just one priority. We have a list of priorities. Others, broadband. You know, we are now, we're now seeing the fruit of all our work of Commissioner Benfield and Commissioner Tony, the times they went to D.C. and the time they went to Raleigh representing us, asking for monies for rural county for internet. Well, that's happening now. We have the great grant with Charter. We also have AT&T going for a great grant. And this is all happening because of planning and time and of us setting.
Thank you. And the next question. In May of 2021, Rutherford County received $6.5 million from the America Rescue Plan Act. At the current moment, this was from an article. At the current moment, there does not seem to be a clear path of use for the federal funding. However, the Daily Courier did publish a statement from the county manager, Steve Garrison. Starting with you, Commissioner Tony, could you explain to us when, where, why, how this money can and can't be used for? And we will go to your right, and then if there's something at the end, Mr. King, you can elaborate as well.
And I know the article you're referring to, which was highly inaccurate. I do know that, and our county manager made a public speech at one of our meetings clarifying a lot of things. There's been a plan in place, but the problem is there's so many restrictions. And I say there's a plan. The book of the federal regulations is this thick. Now, that's a lot of regulations that we have to follow, because if we spend that money on something that is not covered in this book, they'll claw that money back. And that money's going to come out of our taxpayers' pockets. That's going to come out of my pocket. That's where that money's going to come from. So we have to be careful what we do with this money, because we have to follow these rules and regulations. Now, and we continually getting more clarification as this goes on, working with the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. They're a great help for our counties. That's what they're there for. They're there to help our counties, and they help us. And as we keep getting this clarification, the different things we can spend it on. We can spend it on 2 internet projects.
Going my way? Okay. On the budget, of course, it's unclear exactly how much money we still have in the budget. We heard 2 different numbers at the last forum we had. One said 7, one said 13, or give or take in the numbers. One of the things that I did see on this budget was during this broadcast and stuff, they did use $1 million toward the charter program to bring in internet services for the county. But we're still talking about something that they're bringing in that's taken up to 2 years before we really start seeing the effect of it. We've had 8 years. Do we want to sit and wait another 8 years, or on this plan they've got, and it's a projected. It's not for certain, not even sure it's going to pass. We put $1 million into it. There's a lot that we could possibly use this money for. One of them that I did see is during the law.
Ready? There is some differences on numbers there that we got a little over $13 million, but we set aside $3 million of it to do matching funds. The $10 million is what we did. We reached out to the community, to the nonprofits, to other organizations to see what their ideas on it. They sent us back $68 million worth of ideas. We can't cover that with that 10. So we do have a lot of things to do. What a lot of people don't realize in the community is we have confidential stuff that we can't talk about. And the reason being is for various reasons. I'll teach you when I don't have a time clock behind me here. But it's, we have to honor the confidentiality of what we do. And so we do that as a board. There's stuff right now that you'll see get released in a few months that you're going to be excited about. Can't tell you about it. We couldn't talk about the things that we've done up until the time that we release them. We have that confidentiality between each other. That's why we do these closed sessions for the last 3 years on our opioid stuff. We didn't know about it, but we've got it, and it's going to be distributed to our county over the next 18 years. Thank you.
You know, they put baby in the corner and they put the chairman in the corner too. You know, this is like. Okay. Sir, I'm going to disagree with you. When Charter Communications was at our meeting, we asked the question: if you get the grant, the great grant, how long would it take to light up the folks that's on your list? He said 2 years will be done. When we started this 8 years ago, nobody wanted to come to rural North Carolina, any rural county, to lay internet. When I met with AT&T about a month ago, I was told that their cost projection just to do our county was $150 million, and this is going to Golden Valley to Lake Lure, lighting up everything. So it's the money's been the issue, it's not the time. Fortunately, we've had the advocacy for our state and federal folks to bring us the funds, which is we have now, and that is starting, has started that process. And I got 17 seconds. We'll be addressing the monies for the ARPA monies when we do our budget session. That's already, it's in the plans. And we have, like you said, a stack of projects to track and look at which ones are going to hit the priority list. But we have more requests than we have money.
Thank you, gentlemen. This will be a 2-minute time period for this question. The most recent data that was provided to me shows that approximately 7,000 Rutherford County citizens commute to work outside of Rutherford County each day. The consensus across the board for small business owners is a lack of employees. What is being done or what could or would be done to improve workforce development in each of your roles? And we'll start with you, Mr. Benfield, and work away to your left.
I've been in public service for over 40 years. I started back in 1976. I've served this county since 1985 when I came here with the Highway Patrol. I retired from the Highway Patrol, and I've served with the Sheriff's Department also here, and I serve currently. Still a sworn officer, still a paramedic. And what I've seen, we need integrity on our board, and we have to bring it in that. When we look at these 7,000 people going out of our county, and the reason is because we don't have the jobs here that pay what they need. We have brought industry in. These industries cannot employ enough people, that we can't get enough people to pass drug tests to be able to be employed here. I don't blame somebody for working outside the county if that's what you have to do to provide for your county. We have worked hard on trying to get US 74 deemed an interstate. I've been in Washington, D.C. on it. We've worked hard to try to get that, because when an interstate money has come here, more jobs and more businesses come here that will meet the other things that when people drive down to BMW. They didn't come to Rutherford County. They looked at Rutherford County, but they didn't come here because we didn't have an interstate. So there's reasons that we're doing what we're doing. It takes a little bit of time to get things done. We've put key managers in place that have done tremendous things for our 911 center got built here. We got a new 911 center. We've had great leaders that are doing things to continue to lift Rutherford County up, and that's the most important thing that we can do, is continue to work on the goals we have, continue to entice people to come here and stay. We brought businesses in. We got businesses coming I can't tell you about, but they're coming, and you'll see them soon in the future.
You were speaking about our citizens leaving our county to go to other jobs. It's not only in the manufacturing world or Firestone tire world or any of that. It's our law enforcement. It's our teachers. It's our healthcare workers. We have those positions here. Those positions need to be paid for. We're paying more for these officers and these teachers to go for their certifications and training. We're investing money, time in each and one of these officers for all the schooling that we're going through, and we're paying more for that than we're paying them for their services that they're giving us. They can go one county over and start their paychecks out at 50, what is it, 46 to 52,000. We got several officers here. Thank you for your work. If it wasn't for our officers, and our teachers, none of us would be right here where we are today. We've got to have our officers to keep our teachers safe, keep our students safe. I know we're talking about teachers' pay, teachers, the student safety. We just had the report come in. I called the sheriff last night between the hours of 8 and 9 o'clock. My hat's off to Sheriff Francis. He responded briefly to the report that come in, and whenever I spoke to him, he said, Jason, I've already got it taken care of. That's the type officers we need, but we've got to pay them to keep them here. We send them to their schools, let's pay them to keep them here.
Workforce development's a hard subject. For one, it starts in the school system. I mean, where the kids, when they're coming up, what are they going to do as a career? What are they going to do? Do they want to go on to college, or are they want to do a trade? There's a lot of different things that's available that's out there, and that's where it starts. That's where workforce development starts. But also at our college. I'm thinking you noticed in the video, there's the new Applied Sciences building that's right over here. That is a wonderful, wonderful investment that we have made in our community to develop our workforce, and it's a wonderful thing, and we need to continue utilizing it and to develop our workforce. But unfortunately, we have some issues here, and one I know is the drug issue. I know that hurts a lot of people. They can't pass a drug test, they're not going to be able to work. I mean, a lot of people are not going to have them. But we have to have people willing to work, so we're going to have to instill some kind of pride in what you do. You're going to have to like doing what you do. But Jason hit on about our officers' pay. Monday night, we voted to increase the pay of our officers 10%. Now, for me, that's a lot of money. But those folks are extremely important to our community, and they need to know they're important to our community. I thank them every day for the job they do. When somebody stole from me, I had some detective that I could talk to that responded to me. That actually, I called him when I found some of the stuff they stole from me, and he showed up within about 30 minutes. Because he wanted to take care of my problem. Not because I'm Alan Tony, but because I'm a citizen of this county, and I appreciate that, and I want them paid for what they do. I don't want them leaving to go to Cleveland County. I don't want them leaving to go to Far City. I don't want them leaving to go to McDowell County. I want them staying here, and I want them paid well for what they do. And also our EMS. We're trying to take care of them too. We moved from a 24-hour shift to a 12-hour shift.
You ready? Okay. All right. So all my thunder's been stolen. But I would say it's really serious. Workforce development is a serious issue. The Applied Science Center was a big asset. But what's going to happen in our community that's going to improve folks staying here is happening in this room right now. All of us coming together from all different areas, what we want to do to improve our community and improve our county. I did an interview, someone saw me standing by the lake talking about the changes in our county and how we have the Rutherford Bound and all these programs we have making our county beautiful and attracting people. Well, that's going to not only attract people, but that's going to keep those folks here as well. On the other side, we're talking about county commissioners. We need to do a good job as leaders of the county government. We need to have confidence of these companies coming in here. You know, and Commissioner, I believe Benfield mentioned about interstate designation. You'll say, what's the big deal about that? Well, we get points. We have companies that we've met with that are coming here, they're looking at places to go, and there's a point system. And and the interstate is a high point on the list. And if we don't have an interstate designation, we lose a point, and then that company looks elsewhere. And that's been very important. We've been talking, you know, to all our Congress people, everybody, and there's always issues not to. We're this close right now. And you said, what's the big deal? The big deal is when you're tracking these larger companies, we get a higher ranking when they're doing their analysis. All of this stuff also comes back to having confidence in your leaders and your government. We have the highest credit rating for Rutherford County that we've had. I have the numbers right here, but our rating is higher because there's confidence. Yes, we do have a fund balance, but you know, that was a rainy day balance, and we did that on purpose. 9 seconds. We couldn't have done the pay for the officers. We didn't have that.
This next question will be a 1-minute time period, and we'll start with you, Commissioner Toney, and work to your right. So what makes you best equipped as opposed to your primary opponent to be elected county commissioner?
I would say the knowledge of being in office for the last 7 years. It's a learning curve going in. You know, there's a lot of information to learn. We have a big county. There's a lot of employees in this county, and there's a lot of things going on in this county. And you build relationships with people over this time period and the years that you've been in there, but you learn a lot of things. There's a lot of knowledge that you gain by being in there. And you know, working for the citizens of the county is a rewarding job. And I want to be able to keep doing that, keep doing what's good for our county and what's best for our county. And that's why I wanted to run again and put myself out there to be county commissioner again, to do those things that'll set us up above everybody else. Because again, it's the relationships you build. You know, we talk about the legislators, you talk about our senators, you talk about the different people in the different government entities, and you build relationships with them. And we have those relationships in place. This board right here, I sit on a board.
What separates me is, darn, that echoed. I am a people person. I love my county that I'm in. It's given me several opportunities across the board. I was a kid who grew up with, well, basically nothing hardly. My parents lived basically paycheck from paycheck. I was the school, or the kid that went to the school who, well, didn't have the fancy shoes, fancy clothes. But I tell you what, this county has given me so much throughout my career. You know, I've been through as far as the work field. Started out at Crawley Memorial Hospital, ended up at Brookdale Living Center. And, you know, throughout, I've become a baseball coach, but with this county giving me so much, I want to just give back to my county. Thank you. And there's a list this long.
I came to Rutherford County 37 years ago as a trooper here. If you want a good high-paying job, that's $70,000 a year is what your top pay is on that now. If you want to get into it, I didn't even retire at that. After my 30 years with the state. But I tell you, I work in EMS, I've worked in law enforcement, I'm a volunteer fireman, but the purpose of what I do is to help people. I don't do it for the money. I've worked other jobs for the money I needed, and I don't encourage nobody else to do that, but at the same time, I have an opportunity here. I have been for the last, we've been on a partisan board for the last 6 years at least, and we have made a lot of decisions that helped Rutherford County citizens. On what we did it together, and we did it for the citizens of Rutherford County. That's what it's all about. I bring to the board something. I'm on a committee in Washington, D.C., the National Law Enforcement Public Safety Board. I'm on that board. We've never had a commissioner from Rutherford County on any board in Washington, D.C. I bring stuff down that can help us. Thank you.
What about me? What about me? My opponent's not here tonight. Listen, folks, I just want to tell you it's an honor to serve as a commissioner. You say it's a thankless job. You know, we all had to make a decision to run, and some of us to run again. And, you know, there's a lot of time and effort put into it, but we do it for our county and our community. You know, and I talk about confidence in what we do, and we can't do that without you. I mean, you guys have no idea how important it is to have input from our community and how you guys, when folks serve on our ICC boards and our other committees and boards, you bring that information to us to help us to make those decisions. And it certainly has been an honor, and if, you know, I don't have an opponent, guys, I'm just kidding about that. But, you know, I have the opportunity to serve again. I will do my best to continue and to continue to perform better and become a better commissioner for you. Thank you.
My apologies on that. Can we give the candidates again a round of applause? We are now going to start our section for the candidates, the county sheriff candidates. If they can come and take the stand, please. Take the stand.
Real quickly, just to get started, can we go down the line and everybody say your name and what you're running for?
Aaron Ellenberg, candidate for Rutherford County Sheriff.
Jason Weiss, running for Rutherford County Sheriff for the third time.
Steve Theodoropoulos, better known as Theo, running for Sheriff.
We're going to start with you, Mr. Ellenberg. In a minute or less, give a brief statement of what will be your first priority as a Rutherford County Sheriff.
First priority is implement a STAR program for our local schools. That consists of 5th grade, 7th grade, and 9th grade. It's going to surround itself with basically our local issues with bullying, what we just dealt with recently with the school threats. It's going to address all that. It's going to implement our school nurses into it. It's going to save the county money because we're going to be sending them to Henderson County to be trained to teach this. Each resource officer that is assigned to each school will be teaching this course at their school that they're assigned to. So, thank you.
So what I bring to Rutherford County, is that you restate the?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In a minute or less, could you tell us I'm so sorry, skipped a question. In a minute or less, what will be your first priority as a Rutherford County Sheriff?
First priorities, every voice should be heard. Accessibility, every voter and every person that doesn't vote, I should be accessible. I should be reachable. You shouldn't have to wonder where I'm at or what I'm doing. I'm working for you. So transparency, we need more transparency. We need to rework our programs that we have. It's sad, crying shame. I put a sign up at a community clubhouse that had a Crime Stoppers sign up there, and you couldn't even hardly make out that it said Rutherford County Crime Stoppers. So there's a lot of programs we need to re-implement and actually work for our constituents. So.
My turn. I'm making sure you reset the clock there. My top priority is a Citizens Review Board. I want to bring absolute accountability and transparency here. We're going to do that with a review board of citizens. We'll do it on a lottery system. We'll bring people in and let them have accessibility to the department for the first time. We need folks to be able to walk in, have some clarity of what's going on, also helping us with our complaints that come in so that there's some true transparency there. My 100-day plan is going to be put online. We don't have enough time to talk about that here, but that first 100 days is we want to talk to our people in the building. From the janitor to every deputy and in that comm center, we want to know what they think the problems are. Coming in like a wrecking ball and changing everything at once, that's no good either. We've got to deliberately move forward on a plan that's effective for this county.
Mr. Weeks, we're going to start with you on this one. In a minute or less, can you tell us what makes you the best candidate for the job?
I disagree with that because I'm no better than anybody. You know, that's a loaded question. For a lot of candidates, they'll probably have something to say. You know, at the end of the day, I felt that God had called me to run for this office in October of 2013. And ever since that time, I've been seeking this office. But there again, I've been supporting the local sheriff that we've got. You know, for me, it's not I'm better than anybody else. I would have never sought this position if God hadn't took the sleep out of my eyes over 2 weeks' time until I said I'd do it. So that's the only way I know how to answer that question for you.
I'm keeping an eye on it. I came here just to serve. I retired here 5 years ago. This will be our 6th Christmas here. I want to give back to this community. I want to give back to this county. Last year I lost my dad in April, and a lot of you folks reached out to me. You touched me. While my dad was on the ventilator, I got messages, I got phone calls. I don't know how half of you got my number, but you did. Here I was, a grown man crying, you're losing your father, and you folks humbled me. You touched me in a way that I've never seen anything like it. And I told the folks, I told my wife, I said, you know, if I get an opportunity to serve here and to serve the people, I'm going to give you everything I've got. I'm here to serve you. Police officers are called to serve, and that's what I want to do.
I want to make Rutherford County proud of our sheriff's office again. I was born and raised here in Rutherford County. Graduated from our local high school. I've got children that we're raising through our high school, or our elementary, middle, and high school right now. I'm proud of our county, but I want to make our county safe for all of us. My goal is to surround myself with good people in my administration where we can mentor these younger officers to be better servants for y'all as the citizens here in our county. I'm looking really forward to it. I've served this county for a long time in a law enforcement capacity. I have taken pride in what I've done for my citizens here, and I want to continue that as your sheriff. Thank you.
The remainder of the questions will have a 2-minute time limit, and we're going to start with you, Mr. Theo. On January 12th of this year, 4 inmates overdosed, leaving 1 inmate dead in the Rutherford County Detention Center. What is your plan going forward to prevent this negligence from ever happening again?
We have to, first off, I would like to call for a state inspection of the jail. If I'm your sheriff, first thing I want to do is a complete audit of the sheriff. I want to be able to see what's wrong with the sheriff's facility, the jail there, and go from the top to the bottom. When we get that report, I want to share it directly with the county commissioners. Things that we can repair or fix within that facilities, I want to be able to do ourselves. But obviously, there's something going on there. I don't know if it's a lack of training. I don't know if it's a lack of equipment to search people. But there's something going on, and it's alarming. It should alarm all of us. I understand the narcotics team went in after, and then we had another overdose. So what are we missing? We're missing something. We've got to get to the bottom of it. We want to be transparent on how we do that. And we want to share that with the community. As your sheriff, that's exactly what we'll do. I'm not going to hide anything. I work for you. The sheriff works for the people, and I will share that information, but it does concern me, and we need to figure that out immediately.
So the question was about the jail, right? Okay. I understand that Rutherford County has spent to the tune of over $25,000 with some type of x-ray machine that the intake, as you take folk in, that they have to go through. So it will be able to identify if they're hiding anything that you can't see but with the naked eye. So kudos to our Board of Commissioners and that already being put in place. At the same time, that jail, if you want to talk about the jail, that's one of the biggest missed opportunities in this county, folk. You know, people that are there, they need hope. They need jobs. They need housing to, you know, hey, I'll buy you a pair of steel-toed boots if you need them, okay? There's a lot of industries needing people that are clean, okay? And if they've been there a couple of weeks and dried out, more than likely they're a good candidate, you know? So we need to restructure and rethink everything that we're doing. You know, if you want to get better, you can. But if you don't want to get better, it's just a revolving door. But if I can turn around 2% of that revolving door at a time, it'll add up. Thank you.
As he said, I understand that they're in the process of getting an electronic device to scan prisoners as they come through the door. But I think at the end of the day, it boils down to basically surrounding ourselves with good leadership there. Also, getting more employees, giving them proper training to know what to look for, other than just giving an employee and say, go to work, this is what you do. We got to mentor these people. The criminals are smarter this day and time. We have to be up to date on what they know. In the prison systems, our jails, there's so much getting in there that we have to be very proactive, stay on top of what's taking place with these prisoners, not let them have the freedom that they think they need in the prisons. So, thank you.
I'm going to start with you, Mr. Ellenberg. You signed up to run against incumbent Sheriff Chris Francis, who has served since 2010. What made you want to run against Sheriff Francis, and what will you do differently?
Well, I do different. As a young officer, I had set myself up, taking pride in working for my citizens of Rutherford County. I didn't know if I could beat Sheriff Francis this go around. I had no negative outlook toward him, but I wanted to set myself up for the next run. And here we are today, getting further into this. It's a learning experience as a candidate, never been in politics before, never been in public speaking. But I am a servant of Rutherford County, and I want to be the sheriff of Rutherford County to help keep our citizens more safe and give you the best service as possible.
The question was to him about why he ran against, why he started out. You're going to pose another question for me, or?
No, sir, they're for everyone.
Okay. So I've never ran to run against Sheriff Francis per se. I believe he's been in that office because the man upstairs had appointed him to that office for such a time as this, and he knew when his time was ready to pull out, apparently. But I have nothing negative to say about anybody in law enforcement. You know, y'all are singing your song for a price tag that is so low, it's pathetic. You know, we ask folks to, our house is getting burglarized, and here we send an armed deputy out, and the pay scale's not there, you know. And then the community, the war on the police has to go. It has to stop. You know, we need to back our men and women up that wear uniforms. And you know, the unsung hero is a volunteer fireman that would put $4 a gallon gas in their car and take off to our need to help us put out a fire in our home or business. You know, America, we need to change our logic on how we think about things. We need to honor those that have come before us. And I have no dishonor whatsoever for Sheriff Francis. We've disagreed over the years many times, but I love the man, and I've never run to run against him. And that's all I've got to say about it.
I ran against the sheriff because of one reason. I looked at the statistical data, which I have, by the way, right here. And I'm happy to share that with anybody in the room. From the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation and their statistical data and the crime rate of violent crime and property crimes. And then if you look at crimegrade.org, you'll see that the county is achieving a D+ along with Burke County. So there's two of the worst counties in western North Carolina. That's Burke County and Rutherford County. So if you're a drug dealer, if you're causing problems or issues, where are you going to go? You're going to go where we're the weakest. We've seen that over and over. I didn't purposely try to run against Francis. I respect the man. I have no issues with him, except we're looking at job performance, and we're looking at the job safety. We're looking at your homes. We're looking at your residents, your children. Have we had enough of this? One thing I learned out of the forum at Golden Valley last Saturday was this: people have had enough. People of this community have had enough. The buck has to stop somewhere. We can no longer say, we can't do anything about it. That is just as powerful to say that as it is to say we can do something about it. My plan will be to do something about it. Coming here as a state trooper who's worked in high-intensity crime areas and as a former federal air marshal with superior training, with a top-secret clearance, working all around the planet, ladies and gentlemen. I have worked with top-notch agencies all over the United States and overseas. I've seen what's worked firsthand, and I've seen what hasn't. I want to bring back to this community what I know will work, and we'll start there and we'll move forward.
We're going to start with you, Mr. Theodoropoulos. And the question is, with growing concerns of corruption and alleged misconduct, how are you going to ensure that if you take office that you will prevent any outside businesses or religious organizations from affecting your decision-making?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. Thank you for the question. I have been advocating that Citizens Review Board since the last time I ran for office. I have worked with Citizens Review Boards at large agencies. I've testified before them as a trooper. They work because the community gets directly involved. So let's take an incident, for example. A deputy gets in trouble, and he doesn't get any more discipline than the lieutenant, or the lieutenant gets no more than the deputy, meaning that we put everyone on the agency to the same level of standard when it comes to these citizen complaints coming in. The good old boy system and the that's my friend kind of thing, that's over with. The community has a voice in it. The sheriff ultimately gets the final say in it. There's over 144 agencies across America today that are utilizing this citizen review system in some shape or form. We need to start it now. We need to implement it. That's how we get away from that. And with the transparency, we're going to put safety guards in place so that you can't just call the sheriff and go, hey, I got an incident down here. No, I'll transfer you to the dispatch center. It's going through the system and it's going to be recorded. None of this behind the scenes kind of thing. Not that that's going on. I'm not saying that that's going on. But what I'm telling you is if we're an honest, upfront police agency, we report everything, and we take it on step by step, and we provide the citizens clear accountability and transparency. Thank you.
First of all, if you see corruption with our officers, be able to present it and show proof. Allegations tear our county apart. We've got to stop with false allegations, plain and simple. Personally, I don't work for the sheriff's office, but I work next to these guys day in, day out. I've personally not seen anything these guys have done that is corrupt. But I will make sure that we are transparent with y'all citizens. Also, we will put out statistics monthly where you can see what our guys are doing. These guys are out here busting their tails for y'all. And a lot of it we cannot put out there because of criminal cases. We cannot jeopardize criminal cases. It doesn't mean our officers are not doing their jobs. Y'all will see very soon when things have been released that they are out here working. So, there you go. Thank you.
You want to restate it for me?
With growing concerns of corruption and alleged misconduct, how are you going to ensure that if you take office, that you will prevent any outside businesses or religious organizations from affecting your decision-making?
Okay. Yeah, it's the same question I asked him to you know, when you say corruption, outside businesses, you know, that's a big gamut of things that you're talking about. Let me just start off with saying, when I run my campaign for sheriff, I spend every dollar out of my own pocket, okay? I'm not beholden to anyone. I owe everybody the very best. Now, the decision is May 17th. You've got Mr. Ellenberg here, and you have Mr. Theodoropoulos. You know, I'll be on the ticket in November. I'm glad for the privilege to be up here tonight. But we've always had issues in this county. But to say corruption, I need proof. To say, and you know, social media, we need to change how we think and how we view things as citizens. Just because you see it on Facebook does not make it so. And just because somebody tells you something does not make it so. I have to go by the hard evidence. And I'll say this, I've never had to fire anyone, and I've been in management over 20 years. They fire themselves. I'll talk to you about the issue, or you punched your own time clock because you've done something just so silly and so crazy that there's no way that I could bring you back into the organization. So, and as far as outside influences, like big business trying to get over on us or anything, the only one I can think of, I want clean water, okay? I'm not happy with the pollutants from the zinc plant. I'm not happy with the coal ash being brought to Rutherford County and them dumping everything down here on us in Cliffside. But appreciate everybody being here tonight.
I think this one will start with you, Mr. Weiss. I'm sorry. Between March of 2021 and February of 2022, there were 172 overdoses in Rutherford County, over 50% of whom were between the ages of 15 and 34. What is your plan to combat the growing drug crisis in Rutherford County?
We've got to get tough on crime, folk. We've got to close down drug houses. We really need a rehabilitation center. We need resources that we don't have. An idle mind, as a Bible thumper would say, is the devil's workshop. And I'm one of those Bible thumpers, I guess, because when you're idle-minded, you've just got too much time. Folks need industry, and ever since we lost our industry, we've been in trouble. I saw the tattletale sign of drug issues in Rutherford County in 2013 and 14. I started finding syringes on my streets of Henrietta, okay? It has taken this long for it to get out all across every aspect of this county. And I would probably venture to say at least one person in every family has someone addicted. So under the sound of my voice, a lot of you know someone that's in your family that's struggling with addiction. But until they want to get better, we cannot prosecute our way out of this thing. They need help, but they've got to want it. But we need more resources. We need more industry. But then when we get industry, we need folks that's willing to work. A lot of folks don't want to work. Our government has made it to where they can make more sitting home than they can by going to work. It's pathetic when you go to Chili's or anywhere else to eat. It's an hour and a half. Who wants to wait an hour and a half? You know, you got to go kill the chicken and pluck it. You know, at the end of the day, our whole aspect has to change on these things. And I appreciate everyone, you know, that does these jobs. You know, I've been blessed in my lifetime. more than I feel like I deserve, you know. And what's been afforded to me, I wish could be afforded to everyone, because I was praying I would have some opposition on my ticket this time, you know. I wish we all could be on the stage come November.
Time.
Okay, my turn. The question is, what would we do to target the drug issue? Is that right? Okay, so I'm going to stick to that. Go ahead. I agree with him about the resources and fighting for that, but the question is, what are we going to do? I wrote some stuff down here, and you don't have to go far. You look at today's news, just Google it, traffic stops, Western North Carolina. I found numerous incidences. April 6, marijuana, 255 pounds, 1.1 million street value. How did we do it? How did we get them stopped? We stopped them for driving too slowly. It was a person coming out of Florida bringing the stuff here. April the 5th, 25 bricks of heroin out of Nash County, following too closely. Again, a traffic stop. You go back to March the 10th, 55 and a 35, Catawba County. They got 60 pounds of marijuana, 260 grams of cocaine, 47 grams of oxycodone pills, 15 units, 80 plus of THC vape strips. On and on. They got $1,400 in cash. They're collecting guns. Over here, March 1st, you got 2,064 grams of meth. Where was that? That was in Shelby. That's right there in the Shelby Star. Was printed up. Look, we've got to do something that hasn't been done here in a while. First of all, we've got to ask the governor for more troopers. After the Horton incident, losing that trooper and affecting that family, and a lot of our guys retiring, we've got to have more road units. That's plain and simple. Second of all, we've got to also start enforcing traffic rules and regulations. I don't want to be a sheriff that says we're going to be the highway patrol. That's not what we need to do. But we do need to stop cars. That's how the drugs are coming into this county. Bottom line, if we don't start doing the small stuff and start interacting with the people that are coming here, we'll never get a hold of it.
Okay, right off the bat, I'm going to change the 4-man unit to 8-man unit narcotic division. Second of all, I'm looking to work together with our local resources. This is a bigger problem than a sheriff's office. Yes, we have to go out and make arrests. A lot of times, it's just a revolving door based on the structure sentence in North Carolina. If anyone doesn't know the structure sentence, look it up. The judges and DAs are bound to this unless we charge up on higher crimes such as drug by distribution, second-degree murder, conspiracy, things like that. These guys, it's just a revolving door. So how can we come together to help solve this drug issue in our county? We, the people, can come together and help these users. We're going to attack these traffickers very hard. We're going to be tough on drugs here in our county. But how can we save? We've got families hurting, mothers raising their grandchildren. They don't know where their children are. Based on these drugs, families losing a loved one because of overdoses. So we need to reach out and come together and make a difference in these people's lives. We've got different resources throughout the county it's not really known of. So I'm willing to work with them to come together and us put all the money in one pot. There's your secular type rehab facilities, but a faith-based. Jesus Christ is the only answer to the problem at the end of the day. So faith-based, if we can bring resources into our jail to help these people before they get back out on our streets, whatever we can do to help cut down on the drug issue here in the county. Right now, going outside, you go to Atlanta, you go to Charlotte, that's where drugs are coming in from. It's cheaper than ever. It's easier for these people to get it. So, thank you.
Our last question is going to be, tell us what your vision for Rutherford County is, and what are your goals going into office and what statistics will show us that you are making progress in 6 months to a year?
I'm looking forward to just going in and serving the citizens. I want to, like I said earlier on, I want to make Rutherford County proud of our sheriff's office. I want to be able to get out and put our officers out here in these communities, get to know the people better. mentor these younger officers to go back to what community policing is meant to be. Going out, it ain't about arresting everybody. It's about serving the community. Community relations is very important. So thank you.
So somebody emailed me a 30, 60, 90-day plan and asked me for a resume this time, and I didn't send it in. I'm sorry, RJ. But, you know, in 30 days, what could you do if you was sheriff? Ask yourself that. In 30 days, what could you do? Well, it's going to take 30 days to get to know you folks and see how your operation's running, okay? Although there'll be some tweaks along the way that you'll be fixing them. In 60 days, in 90 days, I will be accessible. What does that mean? If you need to call me, if we need to meet, we can meet. That's 60,000, 67,000 plus people in Rutherford County. So I'm willing to answer the telephone if I need to, and I'm willing to meet in person if I need to. Your voice will be heard. How will you know that it's going right? What checks and balances, I think, was the question. You know, how will you know? Well, I'm going to tell you, you'll know a tree by the fruit it bears. If it's an acorn tree, it's going to bear acorns. If it's a butterfly bush, there'll be butterflies on it. You know, pollen, I've moved into a bunch of trees where I'm living now, and boy, that pollen's been rough on me, but I really enjoy my neighbors, the trees. At the end of the day, do you enjoy your neighbors in Rutherford County? Are you a good neighbor to your neighbors? I'm willing to give everybody a hand up. I'm not willing to give you a hand out, but a hand up. If you want help, I'll help you. If you want somebody in your corner to fight with you, I'll fight with you. I'll fight for you. I'm not going to fight with you, but I'm going to fight for you. Okay. You've got a friend in me, but, you know, I'm on it in November. Let's pick us a candidate, and I wish them both the best.
Just to clarify for this question, we were hoping that maybe we could get some specific stats that we as a community could look at that will show us that the sheriff is getting done the goals and things that he had set out to do.
Thank you for clarifying that. First, we're going to do like Alan Norman does over in Cleveland County. He posts all of his data each and every month. We know exactly how many cars were stopped, how many people were arrested for burglary. We know how many rapes went on in the county. We know every statistic, larceny, burglary, you name it. Whatever it is, it's listed. Now, the State Bureau of Investigations collects that data, but not all agencies put all of it in there. And I'm understanding now that our current administration is working towards building that. But where I came from as a trooper, we always had that. We want to be able to share that. It's like a football team, guys. If you go out there and you play for a month and your running back's not producing, it's real easy to know. You just look at the stat sheet of the football guys. Okay, hey, Mr. Running Back, you're only producing 35 yards in the last month. What's going on? You're much more capable of that. It's called self-regulating the team. We want to be able to self-regulate and self-motivate our guys to let them know where we are failing. But we also want to make sure that you know that. The sheriff does a report on WCAB on a regular basis, and you'll hear, well, we had 135 calls of service. We had this going on, that going on. We had so many people in jail. But without looking at the total data, you'll never know where you're at or what you're doing. We want to give you the full information. How am I going to do that? In my administration, we're going to hire, first of all, a lieutenant that will provide police information, full-time police information officer, relating information as it comes into this community in real time. So when I'm not available to be able to speak to you, which I will be because I'm going to be on the front lines, but when I'm not, we'll have somebody that's capable of doing that, that's trained to deliver the information. The problem's a big problem, guys. You cannot have a sheriff that sits in the back of the office and do the job. You have to have somebody out on the front lines taking care of this and working with this community directly.
All right, that concludes our the section for sheriff candidates. So give them another round of applause. Thank you. At this time, we're going to open the last section for district attorney. And as they take to the stand, again, I said take to the stand, take the stage. I'll get it right by the end of the night.
Yes, because I'm short. Thank you. Oh, well. Good evening to you both. Thank you for joining us. If you could, please state your name and the office that you're running for.
I'm Ted Bell. I'm the district attorney seeking re-election.
I'm Cren Evans. I'm seeking to be your next DA.
Thank you. So the first question, you'll have 2 minutes to answer. And the question is, as district attorney, you're responsible for filing the appropriate criminal charges based on the evidence presented. This not only applies to the community members, but also to your colleagues and, if necessary, other elected officials within the judicial branch and law enforcement. If elected, how can the community be sure that you will investigate misconduct allegations of law enforcement or elected officials and file the charges necessary? We'll start with the incumbent.
Thank you. First, to clarify, the district attorney does not investigate. Our office does not conduct investigations. We rely on law enforcement agencies to conduct the investigations, either local agencies or the State Bureau of Investigations. With regards to elected officials, nobody is above the law. We have prosecuted local lawyers. We have prosecuted prominent community members. We have even prosecuted law enforcement officers. And that particularly pains me because we've got such a close working relationship with law enforcement and hold our law enforcement officers in such high regard. But occasionally, some of them do make mistakes, and occasionally some of them do wrong. And when they do, we prosecute them, and we have prosecuted them. Nobody is above the law, and we prosecute anybody that commits crimes that we have evidence of, and we will continue to do so. So, thank you.
As to me, I am shocked to hear that from Mr. Bell, but that only has everything to do with his past conduct with other elected leaders. There was a complete report prepared by the Judicial Standards Commission that detailed through not only their investigation, but the admissions of a Judge Poole that illustrated that there had been abuses of power, there had been solicitation of sex, there had been the use of sex as an incentive in trials. We know that we have at least Lisa Mullins, we have a person who was actually being tried by Judge Poole while he was having or engaging in carnal relations with the opposite side, her aunt who was on the opposite side. So I can only speak to myself. I will hold everyone accountable to the same standard because I have to. That's my sworn duty. I don't mind sharing a story. When my son was in high school, he ran into some problems. I didn't help him then. But the fact of the matter is, that's because that is part of his life story, and he had to face the music for that. It didn't make me a bad dad. On the contrary, I think I became a better dad for it. But that's where I stand. If I won't help my son, aside from sitting in the audience and being there to support him, then I'm not going to help anybody else just because of who they are or what they can do for me.
Thank you. The second question, you'll also have 2 minutes to answer. And we'll start with Mr. Evans for this one first. In any working environment, continuity amongst employees is a vital part of ensuring that the function of that office is carried out smoothly, efficiently, and thoroughly. What are your plans for promoting employee retention within the DA's office?
That's an excellent question. There have been approximately eight ADAs that have transitioned out of the DA's office over the past 8 years. Some of them went to much better jobs, and some of them were let go. I will offer all existing DAs an opportunity to serve under my administration. But in order to fully bring my staff into the 21st century, I'm also going to be recruiting. I'm going to be recruiting from all of our law schools, including Central, Elon, UNC, and Duke. I'm going to be trying to step outside of the norm and to bring people that live within our community. Right now, several DAs work for Mr. Bell. They don't live here. They don't live in McDowell County. They don't live in Rutherford County. That's a problem because they can't see what's going on day to day on their streets. They are not able to visit the grocery store and seeing people that may have appeared on their juries or soon to be appearing on their juries. The fact of the matter is that they need to know what we are going through. I live within this community. I live in McDowell County. I've practiced in Rutherford County for quite some time. But our people, our DAs, need to know what we are going through. And they need to represent us. So based upon that, while I will be keeping the existing DAs, if there are any vacancies, I'll be filling them with appropriate personnel that I'll be recruiting myself.
The state actually prohibits residency requirements for assistant district attorneys. We are not able to require them to live in a certain area. With regards to assistant district attorney turnover, it's a high turnover job statewide. 14% per year is the rate statewide for assistant district attorney turnover for quite a few reasons. One, it's a stepping stone. New lawyers come out of law school, they serve as an assistant district attorney for a couple of years to get experience, and then they hang out their shingle because they can make more money. Pay is a significant issue. The starting salary for an assistant district attorney in North Carolina after 4 years of college and 3 years of law school was $45,000. The caseload that assistant district attorneys have is monumental. Our assistant district attorneys, we deal with 2,000 superior court cases a year in each county, and then about 150 cases a day in district court in each county, which means that our assistant district attorneys carry a caseload of between 300 and 500 cases. The stress level is high. Who wants to spend their day at work watching videos of adult men rape children? That's what assistant district attorneys do. They look at autopsy photographs of toddlers who's had their skulls crushed. It is a very, very stressful job. We don't have enough people and we don't have enough pay. And what I do to try to fight that is constantly lobby our legislatures to increase the pay for assistant district attorneys. With regards to the number of people we have, that's allocated by statute. I don't have the freedom to say I'm going to hire another assistant district attorney. I have to get the entire legislature to increase the number of ADAs allocated to our district. How we do that is myself and all the district attorneys across the state have agreed to perform a workload study where all the assistant district attorneys track their time, exactly how much time they work on cases, so we can get an accurate number of how many people we actually need to do the job that we're required to do. Thank you.
The next question is for Mr. Bell. Why should the constituents of Rutherford County give you their vote for re-election? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I think the greatest asset I bring to the job is compassion. The number one thing that we try to do in our office is to do the right thing. And with regards to doing our jobs day in and day out, what we try to do with the people that we deal with, number one, we try to serve the victims to the utmost of our abilities. But with regards to the criminals and the defendants we deal with, we try to figure out what they need so they don't come back. We've talked about the drug problem. It's been mentioned we're not going to prosecute our way out of the drug problem. We've got to figure out other alternatives. I work very closely with a lot of community organizations. You want to fix the drug problem, we have to fix the families. We have to fix our community. And if you really want to fix the drug problem, get involved. Suzanne Porter with United Way runs a reentry council that she has set up. It's organizations like that and other drug treatment, other drug counseling options in this county. That's going to be how we solve that problem. So if you want to help the problem, call Suzanne Porter and volunteer 1 hour a week. My experience that I bring to the office is being heavily engaged with these organizations, because it's through these organizations that we meet the needs of these folks that are breaking our laws and change their behavior. And that's how we reduce the crime rate, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. Thank you.
And for you, Mr. Evans, why should we vote for you as opposed to your opponent? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I do want to mention one thing from this last question. When Mr. Bell was talking about the $45,000 starting rate, take a look at what his staff is being paid. And that money could easily be used to increase DA pay. Those monies are available to you through the Charlotte Observer. They have a running account of all salaries in the state of North Carolina. Please look it up. In regards to to what I bring, I've been practicing law since 1993. And during that time, I have had a multitude of cases, both civil as well as criminal. I have prosecuted criminals under an old, court rule that allowed for private prosecution when I first started. I would be hired by people to prosecute cases, and I prosecuted them successfully. I have been in the trenches, and I have seen the conduct of the DA staff. We talk about them not carrying them carrying a full caseload. Try going to the DA's office on a Friday afternoon. You'll see tumbleweeds, okay? I propose to have DAs that work, that are there for the public, that are going to be able to interact and carry their caseload. We can all walk and chew gum at the same time. But the fact of the matter is there has to be a desire. And more importantly, there has to be within the office a spirit of esprit de corps, a spirit of the corps. And that is where we run into problems with the current administration. People are leaving and they talk about a toxic work environment. How does that happen? And if somebody is not a practicing district attorney, if they're a managing district attorney, that makes it even worse, because they are in the office enough, or should be enough, to see what's going on. Thank you.
Okay, for this question, you'll also have 2 minutes. What is your #1 priority if you are elected to the office of district attorney? And we'll start with Mr. Evans.
That's a hard one. I think the first thing that is most pressing is the length of time of trials. We have recently just finished a trial that was 6 years in the making. And that was a woman who was accused of child sex. She was found not guilty on 22 counts. The 23rd count was dismissed by the judge at the close of state's evidence. That case had been pending for 6 years. That family is done. That family is broken irretrievably. She can't get back those times. Now, we hear from the DA that he's timely. He's working as hard as he possibly can. I beg to differ. Word of faith cases, I don't know what your position is on word of faith, but those cases have been pending for 6 years. 6 years. That's insane. So my first opportunity to be your DA will be devoted towards trying to get all of these cases that have been languishing, have been sitting in a dustbin somewhere, dusted off and tried and dealt with, good, bad, or indifferent. And I know that I'm going to take some lumps along the way. But the fact of the matter is it's got to be done. It should have been done. We hoped it would be done 8 years ago. We were incredulous that it wasn't done 4 years ago, and now we're being asked to do just as we've always done, and just hopefully it'll happen this next 4 years. And it ain't going to happen, folks. What we're doing isn't working. We need to try something different.
So the 6-year case that he's referring to was a mother who's alleged to have raped her son. He suffered severe emotional trauma for that and was under significant mental health counseling. His counselor told us that he cannot take the stand and testify. He is not mentally able to do that yet. She was not in custody. We would not have held her in custody during that period of time. But we held that case for his mental health until his psychologist told us, all right, now's about as good as it's going to get. And it took years to get to that point. And 3 days after he testified, he died of a drug overdose. So maybe we didn't wait long enough. Because our victims are our #1 priority. And we're going to do everything we can to support our victims and to serve our victims and to ensure we're taking care of our victims. And that's what we're going to continue doing. Thank you.
And this is our last and final question. You'll have 1 minute to answer. We all have our different denominations, spiritual practices, and traditions. Here, faith is an integral part of our way of life. However, there is a reason Lady Justice is blindfolded. She's blindfolded to symbolize that justice should be rendered without passion or prejudice, to ensure a result that is fair based on the statutes of law. So our question from the community is, what can you say to us who have concerns that your ability to apply the law could be hindered by your affiliation with local religious organizations?
You
can start with Mr. Bailey.
Thank you. It's simple. The U.S. Constitution is our #1 guiding document. We don't take anybody's race, religion, creed, nationality, any of it into consideration when we're dealing with a case. It just doesn't play in it. It doesn't play a part in it, and it never will. For most of our folks, we don't even know what their religion is, and we don't care. What we look at is, what's the investigation show? What's the evidence? What's the law that the legislature laid out? What are we required to prove, and can we prove it? And then, when we get to that point, what does this defendant need so they don't come back? And what do we need to do to ensure the victim gets the justice they deserve? And that's what we take into consideration. Thank you.
I can't believe it, but it's just what I said this past time. He says that he doesn't take into account religion. Word of faith, pending for 6 years. Why? What's the compelling reason there? What is the defendant's, or the victim, fragile mental state there? There is none. It's because of a lack of willingness to do what the hard choices are required of the DA to do. As to me, I have friends of various different religions. I have agnostic friends, I have atheist friends. I have Christians, I have Buddhist friends. I used to have a Muslim friend, but he's since passed. The fact of the matter is that religion is somebody's right. It has no business in the courthouse as to whether or not a crime has been committed. So those are the questions that a person asks. Has a crime been committed? Has a victim been wronged?
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Give the candidate seeking district attorney re-election a hand of applause. Today, you have heard from multiple people looking to be leaders in this community. And if we're all real, if we elect each and every one of them, they would not be able to solve all our issues alone. Regardless on where you stand in politics, where you follow in your faith, regardless of that, we are all in the community. It's going to take every single person in this room and the entire collective community of Rutherford County to make the difference. Again, reinstating, regardless of where you stand politically, these topics are hard. But you know what? They're real. I want you to look around the room. Look to your neighbor to the left and look to the right. Do that, please. Look around. These are the people that you live with. Reaching ROCO was created to engage our youth and young adults because the fact of the matter is politics is driving our country apart. The fact of the matter is that when youth have to face increasing crime rates, and now CDC has released that the leading cause of death between the ages of 18 and 45 is fentanyl overdoses. If you could not sit down and talk with your neighbor and have a meal and talk about these hard issues and finding the solution and work together, where are we leaving our youth? We all have a responsibility to set an example for them. As we move forward, Reaching ROCO will have these hard conversations. We will talk about the hurdles and the barriers that our community face, but also it's important for us to show all the great things that are in this community, all the resources, all the grassroots activities, all the clergy members who are radically working on the ground that get no recognition from leaders in office. It is our duty to make sure that we are all at the table, that we are all inclusive. We are going to be releasing our first issue this Sunday to the ones that are subscribed to our publication. If you have subscribed to this event, you will receive that first issue, talking about the wonderful youth organizations that we have, all of the passionate youth that are trying to show their creative talents in this community and to make this county a better place. And it starts there. Do not miss an opportunity to invest into the youth and the upcoming generation now. It is vital that we do that. And as you leave from this event, I want you to remember one thing. Regardless of what you've heard of the difference of opinions and politics, do not lose sight why we are here. For the candidates that are seeking office, this May 17th will be the primary election. And then for the sheriff candidates that will try to seek candidacy in November for the general election, do not get distracted. You're going to be experiencing polarizing politics online, social media, and like one candidate said, everything that you read and see on social media is not the truth. Be courageous to enter into those spaces and question. Find the facts. That's the most important thing. That is the only way we're going to get out of this. Again, I want to thank you for coming out. I want to thank all the candidates that came out and to show the community, not only Rutherford County, the state, our country, but the entire world, how democracy works if we do the work. Emphasis on if we do the work. I look forward to serving alongside of each and every one of you to make sure that this work and that the statements that we're told, we're holding those people accountable. The things that they said here, we have to hold them accountable to what they say. And if you are seeking to serve the community, you must have self-accountability. So again, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out. May 17th, there are 2 places that you can vote at the Rutherford County Annex, and also, I don't know if you're aware, but Board of Elections, they have moved the second place to the Annex, the Building of Business and Sciences, which is on our campus. Call the Board of Elections to make sure, and getting the word out and making sure that people know that information. Again, I want to thank you again. If you can give everyone a round of applause, and we'll go ahead and conclude. At this time, we'll go ahead and conclude. Thank you again. Have a great night.